Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, my name's Sophie and I would love it if you hit that big red subscribe button down below. Now this video is going to be all about how I afford to travel on a student budget and how you can all afford to travel on a student budget too. And I know now may not be the best time to go traveling to many places due to restrictions and stuff, but it doesn't mean that you can't start planning for future trips now, or maybe you can use some of these tips to travel around your home country if you are allowed to do so where you live. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to get into the tips. Now the first way that you can travel for less is to find some sort of international opportunity. Now of course you could find a job, that's a bit of an obvious one, but it does make it a lot more affordable to travel if you're going to be earning some sort of income whilst you are on your travels. And of course you can also find jobs which actually offer you free accommodation and food in exchange for work. Those are also great. And do not forget that there are also certain study abroad opportunities and internships which you may get a grant for, so those are good to have a think about as well. And that brings us on nicely to today's sponsor for this video, which is Gapwhiz. Gapwhiz are a company which are designed to help travellers, like-minded travellers, find international opportunities abroad and just offer general travel advice as well, all for free, which makes it perfect for students looking to travel abroad. So Gapwhiz have a website as well as an Instagram page. You can follow them on their Instagram page and contact them on there if you want any travel advice with anything, as well as you can receive lots of help and advice on their website. So what exactly is it that Gapwhiz do? Now, Gapwhiz can help you find an international opportunity abroad. They have a free mailing list on their website, which when you sign up for, you just let them know what country it is that you're hoping to find an international opportunity in, and then whenever these new opportunities arise in that country, they will email you to make you aware of it. And yeah, I actually signed up to one of these mailing lists myself because, well, this is the first time I'm talking about it on YouTube, but it looks like my study abroad placement in Granada in Spain in September probably isn't going ahead now because of the recent change in travel advice from people travelling to and from the UK and Spain. So yeah, currently my university is saying that it might not be possible, and if that is the case, I'm hoping that I can go to Spain in summer instead. So I signed up for the mailing list, hoping that I can find an opportunity in Spain for the coming summer, hopefully. And yeah, they also offer support in the process of finding an international opportunity, such as advice with your CV and applying for any necessary visas, so that's great as well. And they also just offer general travel advice. There's a plan your trip section on their website where you just let them know when you're going and for how long and what your budget is, and they will offer you like free advice, kind of create this free itinerary for you. And yeah, they also just have some general travel resources on their website as well as their Instagram, and you can message them on their Instagram with any questions, anything that you need any advice with, and they will get back to you, which is great. And it's completely free, which is why I'm recommending it to you all, because I know that a lot of my viewers are students as well, and you don't necessarily have a lot of money. Now the second way to travel for less is of course to find cheaper ways of booking both accommodation and transport. Now I'm sure you've already heard of sites such as Skyscanner for finding cheap flights and Booking.com for finding cheap hotels, and Airbnb and Hostelworld. However, I want to mention a few other tips that maybe you may have forgotten about. The first one being a cashback site. Until recently, I had never signed up to a cashback site, and I actually signed up to one come like January time, and when I went on that trip in February to visit friends in both Belgium and visit a friend in the Netherlands, I actually got cash back on all of those buses that I took, which saved me a little bit of extra money. It weren't loads, but if you're using that site a lot, and obviously you can use it for other things as well as travel, all those little bits of money kind of adds up in the end, and sometimes you can get a decent amount of cash back, so that's something to look into. And of course, if you find a cheap flight on say Skyscanner, maybe try seeing if the airline actually shows up on your cashback site, whatever cashback site you use, because Skyscanner usually does, I think, but I think it's usually like a very small amount of cashback, like something silly like 1p or 3p or something, whereas you might be able to find that you can get a much greater amount of cashback if you book through the airline rather than Skyscanner, and save yourself some money there. Also, another tip for finding cheaper transport is to remember that there are other ways of getting to places other than flights. Now, I know within Europe we can often find cheap flights to places, so often it is easier and cheaper just to fly to places, but sometimes actually it's cheaper to get buses. Obviously it depends on where in the world you live, but yeah, when I went to Paris last year, I got a bus and it only cost me £14 and one way to Paris, and that's less than it would have cost me to fly and less than it would have cost me to get the Eurostar. Yes, it was a bit longer, but I actually quite enjoyed the bus ride because we went on the ferry from Dover and I got to see the cliffs of Dover, and I got to stretch my legs a bit whilst I was on the ferry, and there was Wi-Fi on the bus, so you know, it wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't terrible, it was bearable. I was a little bit late than planned because of traffic, but obviously that's not the bus company's fault. But I'm not selling it here, am I, talking about the traffic? But yeah, it's worth looking into because sometimes you can get some like really good deals. Like I think Bruges to London, like before all of this situation happened, I think that was like £15 like with a bus. And yeah, I've used companies such as Flixbus, not sponsored by Flixbus, and WeBus, and there's lots of different apps for finding cheap buses and websites such as Omio, not sponsored by Omio, but they're there, and use them because it's cheaper. And yeah, Omio, I got cash back on Omio before, so yeah, booking through them I got cash back, and I got cash back on Hostelworld before. Speaking of Hostelworld, another way to save money on accommodation, well, if you're booking hostels that is not to book through Hostelworld straight away, because often you can find these hostels cheaper either on their own website or maybe even booking.com. I definitely use Hostelworld for looking at hostels because I like the layout of the app, and the website is very easy to use, and I know that all of the people leaving reviews have actually stayed in that hostel, because you cannot leave a review for that hostel unless you've booked through the Hostelworld app or website. So you know, all the reviews are genuine, so it's a good way to look at hostels. But obviously there's a small fee for booking through Hostelworld because they've got to make their money somehow. So yeah, definitely look up and see if you can book it cheaper through maybe the hostel's websites. Obviously sometimes you can't find the hostels cheaper anywhere. Sometimes the only way to book a specific hostel is through Hostelworld, and then I still book it. I'm not going to not book that specific hostel that I really want to go to because I can't find it cheaper elsewhere. But it's just something to bear in mind, that sometimes you can save some money, just a little bit of money, just by not booking through Hostelworld straight away. Now, the third way to travel on a student budget is, of course, to budget whilst you are on your travels. I know that's a bit of a boring tip, which is why I left it to last, but it is still a very important one. And I'm sure you know of some of these tips to save money whilst you're on your travels, but maybe you just need someone to drill them in your head until you listen, because I know there are plenty of people out there, and maybe you are one of these people who knows it's cheaper to eat, to cook for yourself at the hostel kitchen or your Airbnb kitchen or whatever, yet you find yourself constantly going out and eating out, and then come the end of your trip you don't have as much money to do the activities that you were hoping to do because you spent most of your money on food. So yeah, budgeting is important. So the first tip for budgeting I kind of just mentioned, but that is of course to cook at your hostel kitchen or Airbnb kitchen, and maybe even bring a small Tupperware box with you, so that if you've got any leftovers from dinner you can put it in a Tupperware box and take it with you for lunch, so that yeah, you don't have to spend money out on food that day, which is especially good if you've got a travel day planned, because food on trains or ferries or flights, whatever, is usually quite expensive. So yeah, you can save a lot of money that way. The next tip is to try and find some activities which are free. It's actually quite surprising what you can actually do for free in so many different parts of the world. Obviously, depending on where in the world you are, it depends on what's for free, but sometimes you can find museums that are free. Often many cities have free walking tours, which I highly recommend. I love free walking tours. You should leave a tip, because that's the only way that these tour guides make their money. They make their money purely off of tips. So if you enjoy the tour, you should really give a tip to the poor tour guide. But of course, just doing a free walking tour where you only have to give a tip of what you thought the tour was worth can obviously work out a lot cheaper than these like tours which you have to pay in advance for. So yeah, highly recommend those, and you can meet loads of people on free walking tours as well. I love free walking tours, they're the best. And yeah, obviously there's tons of things you can do, just like walking around nice parks, and sometimes as well you can get tickets for free, or maybe for cheaper for certain activities, depending on your age or whether you're a student. That's a good thing to look into. When I went to Paris, I actually got into the Louvre for free. I don't think I will now because of Brexit, but when I went, it was before Brexit Day, and I got him for free because of like my EU passport and my age. It wasn't just the fact that I was from the EU, it was that and my age. I can't remember what age group it was, but yeah, so that's something also to look into. And of course, the more free activities you do, the more money you can save for the really expensive activities that you want to do. Obviously, it is nice to not just do free things for the whole of your trip, and actually spend money on something that you know you're going to really enjoy, because you know you've travelled to these places, so you want to make the most of your time out there. So definitely have a look in advance and maybe prioritise certain activities over another, so you make sure that you have the money for things that you do really want to do, and then maybe try and do some free activities as well to save money for those more expensive ones. Okay, so that's it for this video. Please, if you enjoyed it, do leave it a big thumbs up and hit that big red subscribe button down below to see more videos from me. Hopefully in the future I will be making more travel vlogs, hopefully. I haven't been travelling anywhere, of course, because of the current situation, but hopefully the plan is that when you're watching this video I will be in London for the first time since post-lockdown, so that's exciting. Also, do leave a comment down below if there are any tips which you think that I have forgotten, And yeah, follow me on Instagram and all of that lovely stuff. Do not forget the links to Gapwhiz, both their Instagram and their website are down below in the description box. So go check Gapwhiz out, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!